Well, let's begin with some ultimate basics. The universe and the earth exist. Option 1. They have always existed. But do natural processes seem static, stable, and permanent? Or do natural processes show a direction that denies eternality? Are they organizing over time towards higher levels of order? Or are they unraveling towards increasing disorder? Option 2. They began at some point. And if they began, then what caused their origin? Remember, the cause needs to be plausible and sufficient to produce the effect. Does what we see as current existence suggest design or random chance? Genesis 1:1 said that in the beginning God created, bara, to create from nothing, the heavens and the earth. In Latin, it was ex nihilo, or out of nothing. From nothing, God created the universe, first the matter, and then he gave it form and order. After sin entered, Genesis 3:17-19 says that God placed nature under a curse of decline and death. This was echoed in Psalm 102, where it speaks of the universe wearing out like a garment. In Romans 8, where Paul spoke of the natural order being subjected to futility and corruption, and 1 John 2:17, where John said the world is passing away. We'll do more on this in a later video. Well, the men of the Enlightenment wanted a story to contradict Genesis, so they replaced the eternal creator with an imagined eternal universe composed of eternal matter. An eternal universe was not much harder to imagine than an eternal God. In 1927, the atheist Bertrand Russell asserted that there was no reason why the earth could not have come into existence without a cause, or had always existed. Then he claimed that the Christian religion has always been the principal enemy of progress and science. In the late 1920s, some began questioning the eternal universe idea. But with God eliminated, what caused that beginning? The late Professor Harlow Shapley of Harvard University stated,
"Some people piously proclaim, in the beginning, God. I say, in the beginning, hydrogen."
Well, those who laughed at an invisible creator God not directly detected by human senses were willing to imagine that the entire universe arose from an invisible, odorless, colorless gas. Hydrogen. Hydrogen? Well, where did that initial hydrogen come from? Don't ask. The idea of the universe beginning with a Big Bang can be traced back as far as 1225 AD, but the current belief arose in the later 1920s with the work of Georges Lemaitre and Edwin Hubble. Stephen Hawking and others argued for an initial singularity, that all of the matter in the universe, yes, all of the matter that would become planets, moons, asteroids, and so on, was crammed into a tiny space no bigger than an atomic particle.
At the start, the universe was smaller than a proton.
Our entire universe emerged from a point smaller than a single atom. Space itself exploded in a cosmic fire, launching the expansion of the universe, and giving birth to all the energy and all the matter we know today.
But what force could apply that kind of compression? Some kind of supergravity?
Because there is a law of gravity, the universe can, and will, create itself out of nothing.
Excuse me, I have a couple of questions. Where do laws come from, if not a lawgiver? But I know that's probably a forbidden question. I'll move to the next one. Can law create matter and space? How can you have gravity before you have matter? Well, that's a lot to get your mind or your imagination around. But then what overcame the compression and produced the Big Bang explosion? That's a good question. I know, don't ask. Okay, brand new idea. The universe exploded out of nothing. Hawking argued for the gravity-compressed matter idea. But Lawrence Krauss swooped in and said, forget the gravity compression problem, for a quantum fluctuation caused the current universe to pop into existence, instantly creating all of the matter and natural laws. I would have a much easier time with this idea if I had ever seen any evidence for a quantum fluctuation suddenly producing something significant. And I would be satisfied with something much smaller and simpler than a complex universe. How about a pizza suddenly popping into existence on my dinner table? Or how about a new car popping into existence in my driveway? But we're expected to believe that the entire universe suddenly popped into existence from a quantum fluctuation. Right. Wait a minute. This whole notion, the entire universe suddenly coming into existence from nothing, sounds a lot like Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created everything from nothing. Well, I guess that story was only irrational and unscientific when associated with God. But that was the Enlightenment agenda. Replace God with naturalistic explanations. But doesn't this one smack of plagiarism? Ridicule Genesis 1:1, but later circle back to it, cut God out of it and replace him with an imaginary quantum fluctuation, and then publish it as a brilliant human, awe-inspiring scientific discovery. Genesis 1 told us long ago that God brought the universe into existence suddenly from nothing. Isn't it interesting how the Enlightenment ridiculed Genesis 1:1, removed the Bible from the nature discussion? The big thinkers toyed with alternatives less plausible than God as a sufficient cause for the universe, an eternal universe, then a beginning from hydrogen, then gravity and an explosion, and now a quantum fluctuation. They have effectively returned to the universe suddenly appearing from nothing idea, and all they've really done is removed God from the story. Of course, that was the Enlightenment's intent. If these folks could just get over their semi-rational God problem, they would be back to Genesis 1:1 as the best explanation for the universe. However, those driven primarily by a desire to avoid the God answer at any cost will continue the endless speculation. If eternal, hydrogen, gravity, quantum fluctuation weren't enough, some now suggest the universe is one of many. The multiverse, multiple universes. Others think it might be a hologram, two-dimensional surfaces rather than 3D. Some think our universe exists within a wormhole of a much larger universe. And you've heard of dark energy and dark matter? Well, now there's talk of dark fluid, 95% of the universe. After these, what's next? Are all of these notions really valid possibilities? Or are these scholars, like Israel towards the end of their monarchy era, bored with or defiantly opposed to the old ancient paths, the good way, and are now caught in the Athenian complex, the obsession to always hear something new? Is this continual parade of frivolous, well, maybe, perhaps, possibly suggestions little more than a lot of ways of saying, like George Wald, anything but in the beginning God created? Are these empty imaginary options to keep us distracted from larger spiritual issues? You have to wonder.